A lot of people think quantum computers are just really fast versions of the laptops we use every day. But that's not quite right. They're a completely different kind of machine. And to understand why, we've got to look at their most important fundamental building block.
So what is that big secret? Well, your phone, your laptop, pretty much every computer you've ever used runs on something called a bit. A quantum computer, though, uses a qubit. And trust me, if you can really get the difference between those two, the whole wild world of quantum computing starts to feel a lot less like magic and a lot more like some truly brilliant science.
All right, first things first. Let's start with what we all know and use every single day, the classical bit. It's the foundation of, well, all the tech we have.
At its heart, a bit is incredibly simple. It's the smallest possible piece of information in a regular computer, and it's always binary. That just means it only has two choices. Think of it like a yes or a no, on or off. There are no maybes, no in-betweens.
And honestly, the best way to picture this is with a simple light switch. It can be off, we'll call that a 0, or it can be on, we'll call that a 1. Right? You can't have a light switch that's somehow both on and off at the same time. It's one or the other. It's a definite solid state.
Okay, so here is where everything gets interesting. The classical bit, as we said, is stuck being either a 0 or a 1. The qubit, though, it introduces this fascinating new option. It can be a 0, it can be a 1, or it can be a combination of both at the exact same time. And that little phrase, a mix of both, is the absolute game changer.
So, how do we even begin to wrap our heads around this mix of both idea? Well, the light switch analogy kind of breaks down here. So let's try a new one. For a minute, let's just think about a simple coin.
A regular bit is like a coin that's just lying flat on a table. If I ask you what it is, you just look at it and say, yep, that's heads, we'll call that a 1, or that's tails, our 0. Again, it's simple, clear, and totally definite.
But now, here comes the qubit. Imagine we take that same coin and flick it up in the air, so it's spinning. Now, while it's spinning, is it heads? Well, kinda. Is it tails? Also kinda. It's in this weird, blurry state that's a mix of both possibilities all at once.
This amazing spinning state actually has a name, and it's one of the coolest concepts in all of physics, superposition. It's this unique quantum ability to be in multiple states at once. Just like our spinning coin is a blur of both heads and tails right before it lands.
But, and this is a huge but, here's the catch. The second you try to measure that qubit, the moment you basically slap your hand down on that spinning coin, it's forced to choose. It snaps out of that beautiful, fuzzy superposition and becomes just a plain old definite state, either heads or tails, a 0 or a 1.
Okay, so we've got a spinning coin that picks a side the moment we look at it. Cool party trick, I guess? But so what? Why does this strange little property make quantum computers so unbelievably powerful? Let's get into it.
This is the exact question we should be asking. It's a neat trick for sure, but how does that actually translate into computing power? Well, the answer isn't that it just tries every possible answer at once. Nope, it's something way more clever.
Think about how a normal computer would solve a really complex maze. Its bits can only be one thing at a time, so it has to go step by step. It tries one path, oops, dead end. Okay, go all the way back to the start. Now, try the next path. Another dead end. You get the idea. For a gigantic maze, this could take practically forever.
A quantum computer approaches that maze completely differently. This quote really gets to the heart of it. By using that superposition state, it can process all those possibilities in a way where the wrong answers interfere with each other and cancel themselves out, while the right answer gets stronger and stronger. So it's less about checking every single path, and more about making the correct path just shine through all the noise.
So it's really crucial to understand that this incredible power has its limits. Qubits aren't some magical solution for everything. They're a highly specialized tool.
And this table makes it perfectly clear. So are qubits better than bits? Not at all. For everyday tasks like checking your email or watching a video, a simple, reliable bit is exactly what you want. You don't need a spinning quantum coin for that. But for certain massive, complex problems, like designing new medicines at the molecular level or cracking modern encryption, well, for those, the qubit is the only tool for the job.
And that's really the main takeaway from this whole thing. Qubits aren't here to replace the bits in your phone. They're an entirely new kind of tool, designed to solve a specific class of problems that are, for all practical purposes, impossible for even the biggest classical supercomputers.
So there you have it. We've gone from a simple light switch to a spinning coin that holds the key to solving some of humanity's biggest challenges. Understanding the qubit is the very first step into a much larger, weirder, and way more wonderful quantum world. Now that you know the secret, what do you think we'll be able to build with it?